Hello everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Great Ace Attorney 2, Ryunosuke's Resolve. In our last episode, we started Chapter 4, and Judge Jigoku and Suzato's father made it over here. We also found out Kazuma seems to be missing, and it's time to figure out what else is going on today. Alrighty, time to go to Shom's suite. Alrighty, here we are. What was that? A man screaming in a most unflattering way. You think, could it have been Mr. Sholmes? Oh my, I do hope not. I don't do it anymore. Alak Saratum, if you're watching, this guy is a dead ringer for Meridoc. Mon ami, mon ami. Stop this disgraceful display, huh? Who are these people? Look at their hair, it's bright red. I think they must be clients of Mr. Sholmes. Right, you two, you're coming with me now. Down to the clink. No, in prison. It is dark and damp and I don't like it. Wolf, the darkness, it is my friend. I am not scared. You're always scared of the dark. Shut your mouth, you idiot. I will sit quietly in the dark and plan our next daring heist. I do not like this. I do not like it. Well, tough. We'll finish this down the yard. Now get moving. Bye then, Jenny. Have fun. Oh yeah, thanks Iris. And thanks. You're great, detective. Okay. Gina makes a fine detective herself, doesn't she? Oh, Susie and Runo. Hello, Iris. We're home. Where did you find your daddy? Who is your daddy and what does he do? I couldn't resist that one. We arrived at the hotel just before he and his friend. Oh, well that's great news. I hope I'll get to see my daddy again soon. Yes, of course. Dr. John H. Wilson. So, Iris, all that remains now is the greatest of problems known to man. How to generate wealth so that you can live comfortably and be happy at the same time. What the? But before we concern ourselves with that, I believe some tea is in order. Don't you, my dear fellows? Why is your hair red? Is something wrong, Mr. Naruhodo? Do I have a crumb of such like on my face? Yeah, it's in your hair, and it's huge. Not so much on your face, as on your head, I'd say. Come along then, everyone. I've brewed a lovely special blend. Time for tea. Whatever is going on here today. In that case, let us sit and drink now. For I am, in fact, expecting a guest later today. Mr. Sholmes, who are the two gentlemen that were here before? Oh, just a pair of petty criminals. Nothing of significance. Of course, they have to make a living somehow. And when the mood takes me, I'm willing to turn a blind eye to all manner of infractions. Yeah, right. When the mood takes you. All manner of infractions. But, when such fellows set their sight on Mr. Sherlock Sholmes, well, that's when the luck runs out. Oh my, you were the target of crime, Mr. Sholmes. But I quickly devised a plan to entrap them and deliver them to our young detective ally. You should have asked Gregsy to come too. We could have had an arresting tea party. I did send word, but no answer was forthcoming. The man is consummately in the wrong place at the wrong time. There's a word for it, I'm sure. Aha, I have it. A bungler, that's the word. It's a good job he's not here to hear you say that. So those redheads have been up to no good? I wonder what the men did. Well, if that's the case... This looks like last week's edition. Let's see, red ink. It's an advertisement font. It says, to the Redheaded League. The Redheaded League? What's that? I don't know. I've never heard of it before, but... His hair's red. Is something on my face? It's on your head, genius. What do we have here? Yes, we've heard this a few times. She seems to have drawn a lot of little stick figures all lined up, look. Cheap apples at the market, is what all of them say. All your questions would be answered if only you would read this month's Brant's magazine. So I'm the only one who can't make any sense of this. Okay. Her key set? Well, it's only by carefully tackling it. A roundabout way of telling me I need to tidy up my desk. Oh, Mr. Naruhodo, you do overthink things at times. Alright, we have that out of the way. I do like this fireplace. It's one of the best things I've seen since we've arrived in the country, in fact. Although, I do yearn for a Japanese kotatsu. Putting your legs under a warm, blanketed table is so comforting. Do be careful, Mr. Naruhodo. Don't mistakenly put your feet into the fire, will you? You'd suffer terrible burns, you know. I know that. I worry sometimes about how Susato-san sees me. There is a mask here. The mask Kazuma wore when he was assigned to Lord Benzeek's as his apprentice. I just sort of picked it up. We ought to give it back to him, I suppose. But he has his memory back now, doesn't he? And I can't help feeling he might turn around and tell me coldly to wear it myself. But isn't he your best friend? He was. But we apparently don't know him quite as well as we thought we did. The greatest of problems known to man at you. Is it another fiendishly intricate case? No, it's probably how to get that red dye out of your hair. Are you aware of the theory of evolution by natural selection, perchance? Yes, I am. Possibly. It's a revolutionary scientific theory that was newly proposed 40 years ago. And if you tell it to anybody in the States, they're gonna get really, really mad at you. According to its author, Mr. Darwin, we humans were once apes who lived in the treetops. Indeed, and from the very moment those apes descended from the canopy to live as humans, it has been our lot to be at the mercy of the greatest problem known to man. Our lot? What is this great problem, Mr. Sholmes? Why, it isn't obvious, my dear madam. The problem of rent! Okay, that... I set myself up for that one. But, did you not receive a rather large sum of money from Madame Dispels only the other day? Did you blow it already? A large sum. One potted of iris and a new motor car for me later, and all of it has quite disappeared, I assure you. Honestly, Hurley, you know you squandered it. Yes, well, anyway, 2 days ago, I discovered the answer to man's greatest problem, for the coming month at least. And what was the answer? Why, there is a substantial clue before your very eyes. Don't tell me, let me see. Humans are sorry creatures, unable to see what is in front of their noses. Let me give you some assistance. Don't look, but observe me very closely. There's one particular feature about me. Yeah, it's your hair. It's been stabbing me in both eyes right from the very beginning of our conversation. I think we might need another clue before we uncover the full answer. No, we have our clue. Thanks for the hint. I'll be tearing my hair out if this charade goes on much longer. It looks as if someone circled an advertisement in this paper, Mr. Sholmes. To the Red-Headed League. Does that strike you in some way? I was thinking that just maybe it might be related to your bright red hair. So, at last you've learned to apply my methods, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry. In the first instance, and quite indispensable, observation. Believe me, I could have seen that hair with my eyes shut. So then, allow me to regale you with the details of my latest exploits. Regale or boast? The Red-Headed League. So what is a Red-Headed League, which seems to be the subject of the advertisement you circled? Oh, you noticed it in the paper then? That, my dear fellow, was going to be the source of this month's rent payment. It was how? According to the advertisement, the Red-Headed League is a distinguished institution of fellows of unspecified governance. In fact, the only condition for becoming a member is having red hair. That doesn't entirely surprise me. But listen to what the lucky redheads receive once they join. An unconditional salary of £4 a week. Oh my, £4 a week? But why? What are they paying people for? That I don't know. No details are given in the advertisement. Surely every red-headed person in the country would be flocking to join in that case. You're right, Susie. There's no time to lose. I put in my application at once. So will I, just on the off chance. That might be stretching a point, I think. The trouble is, they have a fixed number of members, you see. Oh, I see. So once a certain number of people have joined, no one else can. But as luck would have it, one member recently passed away. It wasn't particularly lucky for the redhead in question, I feel, Mr. Sholmes. So you decided to try to join in his place. Correct. I mean, look at me. No, he's not in this game. Have you ever seen such a red-headed fellow? No. So why? Why did it have to go so wrong? What on earth happened? A blunder, Mr. Naruhodo. Though it pains me to admit it. What did you actually do to your hair, Mr. Sholmes? I'm glad you asked, Miss Susato. What you see on top of my head is neither dye nor hairpiece. I changed the color of my hair overnight by the wonders of chemistry. So you dyed it. Chemistry? I was conducting some research into a method of rejuvenating spent tea leaves, and in the course of my work, I stumbled upon a potion when taken. Turns one's hair a flame-like red, more like blood red. Ugh. Dracula's salivating at your hair. Would you like to try it? It will make every hair on your body perfectly crimson. Nah, I think I'll pass. We're not really ready to turn into Apollo Justice or Athena Sykes. But Mr. Sholmes, is it quite safe to drink? Surely it's bad for you, isn't it? Amateurs are always hampered by such fears. But of course, to earn 4 pounds a week, one must be prepared to turn a blind eye to a little danger. That degree of red signals more than just a little danger, surely. So anyway, Haley left full confidence of yesterday with his new red hair. For the park on Lime Street where the Red-Headed League were interviewing prospective new members. So what went wrong? The whole park was choked with red-headed folk, like a coaster's orange barrow. I queued for 8 hours solid before at last I reached the front, but when the panel of interviewers saw me, they immediately said, "Ah, Mr. Herlock Sholmes, are you in disguise to conduct an investigation?" And no matter what you do, people will always recognize you. So naturally, I had no choice but to reply, "Shh, don't give me away." After which, I could do little else but turn and leave. Then this morning, when I looked in the mirror, irritation stood within me. So I turned that pair into the police. Oh dear, what a disaster. For Hurley and those 2 redheads. Mr. Sholmes, isn't it about time you told us the truth? Just over a week ago, you said to us, "I will now tell you that something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that." That case aboard the SS Buria in January. Kazuma wasn't killed, and you knew he wasn't dead at the time. Okay, time to get into it right away. So what was really going on? The fellow was unconscious for a very long time. If he hadn't regained consciousness when he did, his life would have been in mortal peril. Of course, a side effect of the prolonged comatose state was amnesia, as you know. It was a simple enough task to silence the crew. But how? After they'd carried him out of the cabin, I assembled them in the lobby area. Then I made them swear to leave him unconscious and have him unlaid from the ship in Hong Kong as a murdered corpse. How horrible. It was necessary to find some material with which to persuade the crewmen to keep their word, of course. But why? Why do it in the first place? I will be at liberty to elaborate in due course. But for the time being, I would like to reassure you, I didn't foresee subsequent events. What events? His disappearance in Hong Kong. Oh. I believe I may have made a gross error of judgment. No shit, Sherlock. No shit. I've been waiting to use that one all game. Mr. Sholmes? Ding dong, bing bong. Hopefully no body has been discovered. Ha! Here's my guest now, my latest client, with money to spend. Ooh, I do hope it's an exciting case, Hurley. Remember, Iris, we are at present gripped by the greatest problem known to man. And don't call me Shirley. I must be willing to accept any case, no matter how unstimulating. Save locating a runaway, of course. Don't spare anyone's feelings, will you? Oh dear, I'm afraid that Hurley can lack a little tact, especially just before the rent is due. Mr. Oh, it's you! from our last case. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, please, oh please. Please run, my husband. He's run away. You stepped into that one. To upset me? Oh. Oh, that's funny. I beg your pardon. Never mind. Personal matter. My apologies. What exactly are you trying to say, Mr. Naruhodo? I didn't say a word. Come, my dear madam. Be seated. Iris, some tea, if you please. Of course. What's the matter, Miss Susato? Oh, it's just that gentlewoman. We've met her already. Very recently. 8 days ago, I'd say. She was in the jury. As I explained earlier, my name is Evie Vigil. I implore you to take the case, sir. Money is no object. Simply name your figure. Money and wealth are of little consequence to me, madam. Being offered a case to solve is reward enough. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you're the picture of benevolence. I will, of course, make a mental note of your offer, however, for contingent reasons. I trust you will remember your words also. If I might inquire, sir? This gentleman and lady would be... Oh, me. What I am about to tell you I should like to communicate in the strictest confidence, you understand? Ah, these are my friends. I assure you, you may say before this pair anything which you may say to me. Ah, I see. I can vouch for the gentleman personally, after all. He's hard of hearing. Oh, thank you. Why did I ever get my hopes up? Alrighty. Forgive me for asking, Miss Vigil, but have we met somewhere before? Quite recently, perhaps? Oh my! Pshaw, my dear fellow, what is your intention? Clearly you have no ability to differentiate the facial features of the English. If you wish to invite the lady to tea, you must do so in a more gentlemanly fashion. Is it possible that you're the nice young lawyer from the trial I attended last week? Ah, I knew I recognized her. Juror number 2. Prove a man's fate in the palm of one's hand. Oh gosh, oh golly, it sends shivers down my spine. I didn't quite recognize her because she's acting so differently now. It must be very difficult for you as a lawyer. Being hard of hearing, I mean. I can hear you just fine. Pardon? Oh dear, I'm so sorry. Don't worry if you can't hear. It was frippery, really, nothing more. Now look what you started, Mr. Sholmes. Thank you very much. I believe it would be prudent for you to sit quietly in the corner. Yes. Mr. Vigil. Tell us about your husband, madam. Mr. Vigil, my daily vigil, is 40 years of age. I have a photograph here. Well, ain't he handsome? An entirely unremarkable gentleman, by appearance at least. Yeah, thanks, Sholmes. How long have you been married? It will be 15 years this year. Nice. We have a cordial relationship, and my husband's income is more than adequate, so we live quite comfortably. As it would appear, I need only look at you to know these things. Oh gosh. Your dress is the latest style, your hat clearly regularly groomed, and your eyes are animated. Well, why wouldn't they be animated? In short, you have no inkling as to why your husband might have disappeared, correct? That's right. He's a kind man with a strong sense of loyalty, and he rather dotes on me. Which would point to the possibility that he has become embroiled in some incident or other. Oh, that is exactly what I fear must have happened. Mr. Sholmes, I'm quite beside myself. My husband's employment is somewhat unusual, you see. What if he's incurred some miscreant's ill will? What exactly is your husband's line of work? He's a warder at the prison. A guard? That is somewhat unusual. So, your husband's a prison warder. That's right, yes. Well, in actual fact, he's the chief warder. Oh, he's, someone with clout. Indeed, I see. Well, chief prison warder certainly qualifies as something of a specialist occupation. Yes, it does indeed. My poor husband must prepare those dreadful punishments and see that they're carried out. Dreadful punishments. Does she mean capital punishments? And at such times, he must occasionally spend a night or two at the prison dormitory. But for that extra responsibility, he is remunerated more handsomely than the other warders. Of course, we make no mention of my husband's work toward the neighbors. Yes, I believe your prudence is justified. Tell me, at what prison is your husband engaged? Barclay Prison, Mr. Jones. Really? Barclay? Oh, a fine establishment. If I'm not mistaken, there's a large cemetery just behind it. That's the cemetery where Enoch Drebber was, wasn't it? Yes, that's correct. Lowgate Cemetery. It's all coming together. No. Lowgate Cemetery, the very place we were discussing in court. That's unbelievable. Unbelievable, my dear fellow. And yet undeniable. Sorry, Mr. Sholmes, I'm afraid you've lost me. Ah, pay no heed, madam, pay no heed. A private matter. This can't really be a coincidence, can it? So, to the matter of your husband's disappearance. When did you realize he was missing? Please try not to laugh. It was yesterday. I'm sorry, yesterday? That really is recent. Laughably so. The truth is, my husband does at times occasionally have occasion to spend the night away for his work. It's not at all out of the ordinary for him to return home at night. But this is different. For him not to make any contact for a whole day. That has certainly never happened before. Oh, my dear Daly, whatever can have happened? My dear Miss Vigil, please, calm yourself. Now then, have you contacted the police? Why, naturally, but sadly, they refuse to listen to my pleas as my husband has only been missing for one day. I was asked to wait patiently at home. In truth, Miss Vigil, I concur with the police. However, let us not be hasty. I see no reason why we should not engage my deductive powers to track your husband down anyway. Oh, thank you, Mr. Sholmes. And furthermore, let me assure you, a chance to solve the greatest problem known to man for another month has no bearing on my decision. I seek only to put a sweet smile on another Londoner's face. That's really all there is to it. Totally. Sure. Right. You have my eternal gratitude. I shall pay any sum you care to mention. You seek only to put this sweet's rent on your landlady's purse. That's all there is to it. Thank you for everything you have shared with us, Miss Vigil. I believe I have all the information I need to begin my investigation. Well, please report to me as with good news, sir. Fear not, madam. In a day or two, I shall be contacting you with a heartening report, I'm quite sure. So soon? Oh, how splendid, Mr. Sholmes. Good news should be delivered early, I always say. If you would be so kind as to leave the photograph of your husband in my possession. Alrighty. Thank you. Now allow me to show you the door. I can't thank you enough, Mr. Sholmes. You've been simply marvelous. You know, I think it every time, Hurley. But how do you come out with such nonsense? Good news in a day or two. Are you sure? I can't be sure, of course. But then I didn't swear on it. I merely gave the good woman some hope. I hope to be able to give her some good news, one might say. After all, the rent must be paid by the end of the day tomorrow. If by that time I've successfully located Mr. Vigil, we shall be mutually relieved. Wouldn't you agree, Mr. Naruhodo? Don't look at me with those pleading eyes. Well, my dear fellow, did you hear the details of the case? Yeah, my hearing is surprisingly good, actually. Excellent. And what did you make of it? Well, I was surprised to learn what her husband worked at Barclay Prison, I mean. Ah, so you noted that. Of course, especially with the mention of Lowgate Cemetery. Lowgate Cemetery is at the rear of Barclay Prison, so it was renowned among us students at the university for being haunted by the ghosts of condemned convicts. Barclay Prison is where that notorious man was incarcerated, the professor. And now a warder from the prison has mysteriously disappeared, it would seem. It's all very peculiar. Indeed, but nothing you can't handle, I'm quite certain, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry. Run along to the prison and see what you can glean. Would you? It's the prison governor you want. No doubt the man is equally worried. But aren't you going to go to yourself? Surely you needn't ask. I can't possibly be seen out with this hair. You've only yourself to blame. You've only yourself to blame. But didn't you go to Lime Street with that hair? That was quite a different matter. So I leave it in your capable hands. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm rather busy. Yeah, thanks for nothing, Sherlock. Of course you are. Alrighty, we will go to Barclay next time.